What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Crush City Territory. I'm Chandler Rome along with Tyler Stafford after the Astros got absolutely boat raced by the Boston Red Sox on Tuesday night at Dyken Park. Chas McCormick pitched the ninth inning, a big day for Millersville University as one of their own got to pitch in a big league game. Chas McCormick facing Alex Bregman was not something I had on my bingo card when this series started, but baseball, you see something different every time you go to the ballpark. The run differential, the margin of loss is what it is. They could have lost 2-1. They could have lost 14-1. It all counts the same because the Mariners went to Baltimore. They beat the Orioles 1-0. And now the two teams are in a dead heat. The Mariners and the Astros are now tied atop the American League West. The Astros led this division by 7 games on July 7th. I've been having some spirited conversations this morning on various social media platforms because in a story that posted on The Athletic this morning, I used the word squandered in the story. The headline has that the Astros have squandered a 7-game lead in the division. Some people are very not happy that I used that verb to characterize it. Tyler, I think two things can be true. The Mariners are on an unreal heater. Like, they're 10-1 since the deadline. They are playing as good as any team in baseball, not named the Milwaukee Brewers. They look legit. They are on an unreal heater. But at the same time, the Astros are 12-18 in their past 30 games. And among those 18 losses, they lost 4 times to the A's. They lost a game to the Nationals. They lost 3 games to a Cleveland Guardians team that came in on a 10-game losing streak. This is an equal parts thing here. The Astros have not played well for about a month and a half now. They have not played as consistent as we've seen them play, but the Mariners have also just played out of their minds for about a month now.
Yeah, it's like Tolkien once said, and also every Target, little sign that you can buy. Not all who squander are lost. So it's it's been rough. The Astros have been running out a AAA team for the better part of the last 2 months, and now they're in a dead heat. But again, if you had told me at the beginning of the season on August 13th, all you have to do is win more games than the Mariners over the last month and a half, I think I would take that. I still think the Astros are a good team. Uh, I'd like to say they're getting healthier, but that's that's another issue we're gonna have to deal with. We'll see. It's gonna be a really fun end of the season. I'm looking forward to it. I don't think the Astros are this bad. I don't think the Mariners are this good. I do think that they are roughly equal teams, just like we talked about before the season. I still think that's true. But yeah, I mean the Mariners are really good. We've been saying that for a while, especially when it's just the two of us and we don't have to yell at Josh for saying that the Mariners lineup is bad. They're a good team, and so the Astros are going to have to find ways to win without Josh Hader. Hopefully Jordan can come back. I saw, he might start taking some live BP at some point. I mean, I think we're going to get 3 weeks tops of Jordan at this point, if you get anything out of him. But outside of the boat racing last night, they've played better over the past week or so. Huge homecoming for a superstar. Taylor Swift has announced her new album. So it's a big week for all of us here.
It is. Taylor declined our request to come on the podcast. Apparently, she is only able to go on New Heights with the Kelsey brothers.
Are you going to watch it in the press box today?
I mean, probably. It'll give me something to do. I don't know why the Kelsey brothers have such a hold on her. I'm not sure what their relationship is with her. But anyway, big get by them to have her on the podcast. Some perspective before we get into more injuries and more grim news. Tyler, would you like to guess what was going on August 11th last year? August 11th, 2024. So that was 367 days ago.
No.
Hunter Brown
Okay.
started against the Boston Red Sox. The Astros won that game 10-2.
Mm-hmm.
to move into a tie atop the American League West with the Seattle Mariners. So again, there's some perspective here. Literally at this time last year, both of these teams were tied atop the West, and we saw how the season ended. Now, that Mariners team was obviously had less vibes, was far more deficient than this one. They fired their manager a couple of weeks later. That team was in disarray and could not hit. This Mariners team has the view and the vibes that it's a little bit different. I do want to maybe correct one thing I said earlier. I said the Astros have not played well for about a month. I think that's a little harsh. If they win tonight, if they win the game tonight that Hunter Brown is going to start against the Red Sox, they will have won three three-game series in a row. One against the Miami Marlins, who, when they rolled into that ballpark, were the hottest team in the National League. They won one against the Yankees in the Bronx. And then if they win tonight, they'll win a series. Like, that's not bad. And it was funny. I was talking to Carlos Correa after the game last night, and the one thing I said was like, it really doesn't seem like you guys have played poorly, especially since the deadline. Even if you look at the deadline, they're 5-6 since the deadline. The Mariners are 10-1. They played really poorly in Boston. They did not play well at Fenway Park. They got swept. They ran the bases like crap. They were kicking the ball around. It was not a good showing. But since then, they've played fine. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, when you go 12-18 in a 30-game stretch, I don't care who you're running out there. Joe Espada has said it since these injuries began. No one's going to feel sorry for us, and no one's going to make excuses. I mean, this is professional sports. Like, this isn't like, oh man, the varsity quarterback got hurt at Podunk Junior High or Podunk High School, so we got to fold it in. Like, no, these are professional sports. Like, next man steps up, and no one's going to feel sorry for the Astros. So yes, they've had injuries. Yes, they are playing okay, but when you put them up against the Mariners are just playing better. And I think it's a combination of two of these things, that the Astros have certainly not been at the point where they were in June. They have not played to that proficiency, but you got to give the Mariners some credit as well. This has been the hottest team in the American League that has caught up with the Astros, and they're in a position that they were in at this point last year. So take some solace in that, I guess, if you want to, before we talk about Josh Hader and his shoulder strain. We're going to hear from DraftKings.
The dog days of summer means MLB is fully heating up, and so is your shot to score big. Download the Pick 6 app for the easiest way to turn your baseball takes into actual cash. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for two or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. No gimmicks, no weird rules. And get this, all new Pick 6 customers will instantly get $50 in bonus picks on just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. New customers play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Ride the upside where a few bucks can turn into a bag. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. 8/24/25 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Tyler, how long would it take you to come back from a punch in the gut?
A while. I mean, famously, Harry Houdini did not come back from a punch in the gut. I don't know why. I used to read a ton of Harry Houdini books as a child, and so I'm very aware of that punch in the gut. But it would be tough, especially if that punch in the gut was from an arm that normally throws 97-mile-an-hour sinkers.
Yeah, it was foreboding to hear Joe Espada describe Josh Hader's placement on the injured list as a punch in the gut. As of this recording, we still don't know the severity of the left shoulder strain that sent Josh Hader to the injured list. He was seeing additional doctors yesterday before the game, was not at the ballpark that I saw. I assume that meant Joe Espada did say they were getting more tests and trying to determine the severity. Suffice to say, it did not sound great. Usually when you have a shoulder strain, these are not the sort of injuries that just you're back in 15 days. You're back in the requisite 15 days. Even if I think even if they get best case scenario news, I don't think Josh Hader's picking up a baseball within the week. That would be kind of foolish too anyway, especially when you have this much money invested in a guy for the next, 4.5 years. First of all, before we get into like what it does to the bullpen, I found this fascinating, Tyler. He has never been on the injured list his entire career.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's tough to do. I saw he had like one COVID.
Yeah,
he
tested positive for COVID in 2021 and I mean he had to go on the COVID IL. Those were the rules at the time, but he has never been on the again, work with me here. He has never been on the IL for a physical ailment. I understand COVID is a virus. I get it, but it is he has never been on the IL for a physical ailment like this. So he has been a portrait of health for his whole career. I know that there were some that immediately started pointing to the outing on Friday in the Bronx when he threw a season high 36 pitches across 2 innings. You've got to remember too, Josh Hader was pretty steadfast before signing this contract with the Astros. He had not pitched more than 1 inning in a regular season game since 2020. Since becoming an Astro last season, he has pitched multiple innings 14 times in 119 regular season appearances. It is something that he is committed to do. It is something that the Astros are committing to let him do. When that happens, you can't have it both ways. You can't send him out for the 2nd inning at Yankee Stadium, and then he's got 2 outs, but the tying runs at the plate, and he's at 31 pitches. You're like, don't want Josh Hader to throw 6 more pitches. Let me go get him for whoever you have warming up.
Can we put that to bed real quick? Why did Josh Hader not want to throw more than 1 inning for the Milwaukee Brewers?
Because he wanted to save himself for free agency. He wanted to get a big deal. He wanted to get a contract, contract that he got. And then when he got to that podium, when they introduced him, was it last December? He said, they made an investment in me, so I'm going to invest in them. And that was him saying, I'm going to do whatever they asked me to do.
So in 2018, the Brewers went to the playoffs, and Josh Hader had a couple of games in those playoffs where he threw 3 innings in relief. He kind of did the Andrew Miller role where he came out. And then the next year, the Brewers took him to arbitration and talked about, why they didn't want to pay him as much money as he was looking for. And Hader decided, okay, if you're only going to look at saves, and if that's all that you're going to value me on, then I'm not pitching more than an inning. And that's why. It's not that he wasn't physically able to do it. I mean, I hate to keep bringing up the 2015 hooks, but he was a starting pitcher for the Astros and was really, really good. It's not like he is not capable of throwing 35 pitches. And in that game against the Yankees, he averaged 96.7 on his sinker. It's not like he was throwing 92 and you're like, what's wrong with this guy out there? That's not the reason. And it's not that he's not capable of throwing that long. There were different circumstances. So just putting that out there for that argument.
Yeah. And he threw 36 pitches. That was his season high. Don't get me wrong, but he threw 35 pitches on opening day. He had thrown 35 pitches in another outing and 32 pitches in an outing this season. So it's not as if it was this massive outlier of he had only had 18 to 22 pitches all season, and then all of a sudden they spiked him to 36. But for the record, did ask Joe Espada yesterday how Hader, at least in his conversations with Hader, how he bounced back after that outing on Friday. Joe said that he came in on Saturday and played catch as he usually does. Bear in mind that Josh Hader warmed up on Sunday to pitch in the Bronx. He would have pitched the 9th inning of that game if the Astros had not scored 3 runs to eliminate a save situation. So he was healthy and ready to pitch on Sunday. This injury occurred, according to Joe Espada, on Monday when he got to the ballpark, was doing some of his weighted ball plyometric exercises that he always does before he goes out and throws, and felt something then and reported it to the training staff. And here we are. Again, as I will reiterate, and as everyone that has a baseball podcast will reiterate, pitchers, what they do is not natural. They are meant to break. And I'm not insinuating that Josh Hader is broken, but when you throw overhand, when you throw as hard as Josh Hader throws, it is quite frankly a miracle that he made 9 major league seasons without requiring just a trip to the injured list.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes at just an awful time. And Tyler, I don't know about you, but if you would have asked me who are the players on this team that they cannot afford to lose, Josh Hader, I don't know if he would have been at the top of the list. I think that's probably Fromber, but Josh Hader would have been second or third. It is going to be really, really hard to replace his presence.
It is. It's going to be very difficult. Puts a ton of pressure on Brian Abreu, who is, capable of doing that. But boy, that bullpen looks real scary outside of that. Now, we did get a new lefty reliever yesterday in Chas McCormick. So you replace one with another. But yeah, that's a scary person to lose. You just hope that somehow he is able to come back for the playoffs and be Josh Hader again, because I don't know what you do in a playoff series if you just have Brian Abreu. It's not even a bullpen anymore. It's just one bull out there just waiting to come in. I'm not sure. That's a huge loss.
Yeah. So I will say they have to get there first. But if they get into the playoffs, that is a situation where your rotation shrinks. Like, you're going to need Hunter Brown, Framber Valdez, and maybe 1 or 2 other starters. So whether it's Javier, Arrighetti, whomever, everyone else can go in the bullpen. So they will be able to backfill some of these vacancies in a worst case scenario world where Josh Hader is not available for them in the playoffs if they get there.
Is there another pitcher making like $17 million or so that could be in the bullpen?
Can we not do this? Please don't. This has already been, it's 10 a.m. and this has already been too much of a day. Let's not even broach that subject. He's going
to be so good in the bullpen in the playoffs. Oh, it's going to be awesome.
I'm not even touching that. He's going to make a rehab start on Friday in Sugarland. If anybody wants to go watch in the 150-degree heat.
That's Lance McCullers Jr., son of former major league reliever Lance McCullers Sr.,
who famously came out of the bullpen in 2018 at points. Go watch him.
Do you remember in was it 18 that he did the curveballs, or was it 17?
That was 17. He did the curveballs, but 18 was when he
would be pretty cool.
18 is when he tore his UCL, but
yeah, that's crazy.
But pitched through it and tried to come back as a reliever in the playoffs. I think that is one thing, not to get off on a tangent here, but it's
not a tangent anymore. That's a legit, like, who else is going to be in the bullpen? Like, that's a real thing that we're going to have to discuss.
Yeah, but what I was going to insinuate, the fan vitriol toward Lance McCullers, I get it. It's been tough. It's been a tough few years for him, but I was talking about this with someone yesterday. Actually, he's not trying to get hurt. And when he did get hurt, he was getting hurt in an effort to, help them win a World Series in 2018. He pitched through a torn ligament in his elbow in the playoffs. That should be commended and not criticized, but I understand. That's
Have you torn a ligament before?
I haven't torn anything before.
So I tore my shoulder.
I'll get you in touch with Josh Hader.
Yes, thank you. I tore my shoulder in college playing intramural football, and it was mostly torn. And then I went and I was playing Frisbee golf up in Oklahoma and popped it. And I literally couldn't move my arm. Like, it just stopped working. The ligaments are pretty important to the motion process of your body. So what he did is nothing short of a miracle, being able to continue to pitch on that. But we'll discuss that at a later time.
Yes, we will discuss the complexion of the postseason bullpen when the Astros win or if the Astros get to the postseason. We will discuss the composition of the post Josh Hader bullpen for the immediate future right after another message from our friends at Foul Territory.
Kratz, tell everyone why they need to look into a virtual private network, aka a VPN.
It's kind of like wearing trousers. It keeps everything private and secure whenever you venture out.
That's good. That's really good. And Surfshark creates user-friendly privacy and security solutions to protect your data and your privacy online. It enables you to virtually explore the globe, browse privately by encrypting your internet activity, and block ads and malware that may disrupt your experience. So go to surfshark.com/foul or use the code FOUL at checkout at surfshark.com to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. It's a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee, and the FT fam is hooked up with 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN when you sign up at surfshark.com and use the code FOUL. It is time to take control of your online security. Try Surfshark today.
So it sounded like Joe Espada had I don't want to make more of it than it was, but it sounded like he addressed the relievers yesterday in the wake of the Josh Hader news. I don't think it was one of these like they had a closed door team meeting. I think it was just they were out in right field doing their normal pregame, stretch and playing catch and stuff. And Joe Espada just went over and kind of gave him a quick, talk. And sounds like the gist of that talk was basically to tell them that Josh Hader is a really, really good closer. But the reason that Josh Hader one of the reasons that Josh Hader is a really, really good closer is because he had to get the ball with a lead. Mm-hmm. And that fell to a lot of the guys that Joe Espada was addressing, the middle relief, the setup guys. Like they helped Josh Hader become this dominant closer that he's been for this season and for much of last season. So
that's a good speech.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Joe has got, believe me, he's had to do it a lot this year. He has got the motivational, we'll come back from this. Like, don't worry. Like this isn't going to torpedo our season. He's got that down pat. He's got that.
But that's a good turn right there. That's impressive.
It is. So, afterward, he came and spoke to us, the gathered media. He did not want to name a closer. He's basically avoided that. He said, I'm not naming anyone for the 8th inning. I'm not naming anyone for the 9th inning. They are going to play this as a matchup sort of thing down the stretch. Now, it would have been nice to see, last night in the first real game of the post-Hader bullpen kind of era, what it would look like. But again, it was 14-1 and we didn't really get a good view of that. Even Monday's game, you didn't really get a great sense for it because Brian Abreu was down. He had pitched 2 of the past 3 games and he was not going to be used at all. So that obviously altered how Joe was going to use the bullpen. Joe won't say it, but I think my inclination is if there is a save situation and Brian Abreu is available and rested, Brian Abreu is going to get the ball in a save situation in the 9th inning. That makes the most sense, obviously. When you look at a lot of the underlying numbers and a lot of the counting stats numbers, he has been better than Josh Hader this season. ERA, strikeouts per 9, everything. Like he has been better than Josh Hader in some of these metrics. But I do think, Tyler, if they've got a situation tonight where there's a 2-run game and Roman Anthony, Alex Bregman, and Jarren Duran are coming up in the 8th inning, I'd want Brian Abreu to face those guys. And then, you piece it together in the 9th. I do think you will see if the most dangerous part of a lineup is coming up before the 9th inning, or if they get into a situation where the tying runs at second base with 1 out in the 8th inning, and they've got 3, 4, and 5 coming up. Wouldn't be surprised to see Brian Abreu. Brian Abreu is going to get the biggest outs of a game. And as you and I both know, in managing modern bullpen usage, the biggest outs of a game sometimes are not in the bottom of the 9th inning or the top of the 9th inning. I think Brian Abreu is going to get the biggest outs out of the bullpen, but I'd stop short of saying he is going to be the true and defined closer.
Yeah, and he's also a guy that can get more than 3 outs. We've seen him do that a lot this year. He's also really good at coming into, an inning that already has chaos going on and getting out of it. So that's not a guy that you want to just lock up in the ninth inning and say we're not going to use him until, you know, it's a ninth inning save situation. So yeah, I mean the Astros have the flexibility there. Brian Abreu has been really, really good this year. Do you know who else? I'm looking at Fangraphs right now. Do you know who is tied with Josh Hader in WAR this year? As far as relievers, I'm looking at just relievers on Fangraphs.
Bennett Sousa.
Bennett Sousa has also been really good.
Yeah.
You know, has had some troubles of late, but has been a good pitcher as well. So the Astros have the flexibility to move around, but this just underscores how desperately they need Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez to go 7 innings every time out, and they need a couple of their other starters to step up. You know, they don't have the depth anymore to win. I mean, they didn't have the depth before, but they especially don't have the depth now to wiggle out of these. It's a miracle they won that game on Monday with having Abreu unavailable, having Hader unavailable. Like that's pretty impressive that they were able to handle that. And I think that's a good sign for them going forward, that they were able to already navigate a tight game without having either one of those guys available, because they're going to have to do that again over the next couple of weeks.
Also, like, before we get back to the Abreu, like, that was one of those games on Monday where, like, you walk to the ballpark and, like, you knew that Crochet was pitching for the Red Sox, and you knew that, like, the odds on paper were stacked against them, but you knew there was no way they were losing that game.
No
like,
chance.
No way. With
Carlos Correa was
that
going to will
on,
them to a win.
Right. Like, there was no way. Like, Crochet could have punched out 15 and they would have still found a way to win that. Like, that was just one of those with Correa coming back and the vibes and the electricity in that ballpark. Like, there was no chance they were losing that game. And of course it played out that way, even though the odds were very much stacked against them on paper. But yeah, I mean, I think the way Joe managed that game is going to be the way you see him manage a lot of these close games for however long Hader is out. You're going to see a lot of, maybe mid-inning pitching changes. You're going to see a lot of, put this guy in for 3 batters, and then, the minute that Alex Cora, or whoever the opposing manager is, goes to his bench for a platoon advantage, Joe's going to pop out of the dugout and go get a righty or go get a lefty. Now, the problem is that puts a lot of pressure on, I forget how many relievers they used on Monday, but I believe it was 4, but that puts a lot of pressure on 4 guys to come out and all pitch well and to all be on.
One of them's not here anymore.
One of them is not here, Hector Neris. Congratulations on his 10 years of Major League service time. That's a big accomplishment. It's a lifetime pension from Major League Baseball. We'll have. I don't think fans appreciate how big of a milestone that is.
Deal.
We'll get Reddick to talk. Reddick got to 10 years of Major League service. We'll talk to Josh about it the next time we have him on, because I think fans, that's kind of, they don't view it maybe as serious. That is one of the biggest milestones you can reach in the player environment, is getting 10 years of big league service.
And the players are really aware of it, and they're also aware of when teams help players get there, like they did with Hector Neris. Like that builds goodwill in a clubhouse to let a guy get to 10 years of service time. Can I speak on behalf of all of the people in your replies right now?
Go ahead.
What's up with Ryan Presley?
So I'll say this. Before Josh Hader got hurt, I checked in with people on both sides of this, people that are close to Presley, people that are with the Astros, and I got a resounding, there is no interest. That ship had sailed. They were not, there was no malice involved, but just like, look, we're not interested. Like, we've got guys coming back. I think there was a thought it could have ended up a lot like the Hector Neris situation, where they brought him back as a placeholder, and then he was going to end up in the same boat as Hector Neris, and that's DFA'd, a week or so later, when a lot of these guys come back and a lot of these guys are ready to go. I don't know if the calculus has changed since Josh Hader's injury. I still think they're waiting to see how severe the Hader injury is, what the timeline looks for him. I do think it should be noted that Ryan Presley got DFA'd by the Cubs for a reason.
Yeah, he's been not good.
Right.
This year.
He had a look. I will give him this. Like when they came back, when the Cubs came to Dyken Park a couple of months ago, like he had that one just historically awful outing. I believe it was in April or May, and then that screwed up his counting stats for the whole year basically. But he was on a really nice run when they came into Dyken Park. I think he had like a sub-2 ERA and like 20 appearances since that awful blow up outing. But then after the All-Star break, he was just not good. And
with the Astros, when he joined in 2018, averaged about 12 strikeouts per 9 over those seasons. He was striking out 6 batters per 9 this year. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. And so to be honest with you, I do not know right now where it stands. I can just tell you that there was very little interest before Josh Hader got hurt. Now, I can say this. I think Ryan Presley would be open to coming back. I think that is something that he would certainly entertain. I don't think it's a situation where, and we discussed this extensively, his relationship with Dana Brown deteriorated after the Hader acquisition, and that was in part why the trade happened this winter. Part of it was also getting some of his money off the books. That is not the issue. Like, it's not one of these things where he's got a grudge and he won't come back. That's not the case. But I feel like they think they have better options internally. When you look at it, like you just watched AJ Blueball throw 98 in Miami like a week ago. Like, he is someone that I think they believe has a little more upside. Certainly doesn't have the experience that Ryan Presley has, but at this point, Hector Neris has a ton of playoff experience and a ton of big game experience as well. And he didn't have it anymore. So it would not surprise me if something does happen and Presley does end up back here. But as far as just what I can report is there was very minimal interest prior to Hader's injury. But again, things can change because of this. But they've got to focus on who they have. And obviously Brian Abreu is going to be a big part of this, but they're going to need all these left-handed relievers to keep getting right-handed hitters out. That is one thing that, Josh Hader's included in that number, but, you look at Bennett Sousa, Steven Okert, the lefties that they have down there, Brian King, have done a good job against right-handed hitters. They entered yesterday allowing a 538 OPS to right-handed hitters from Astros left-handed relievers, which is very good. The Astros have had more left-handed relievers face right-handed hitters than any bullpen in baseball. So it's one of these things where it does give Joe a lot of flexibility because he doesn't have to be as mindful of platoon advantage, platoon splits, maybe as some other managers, because he has got left-handed relievers that can get right-handed hitters out. Now, the big thing is, like, they've got to put these guys, it's not even about maybe side of the plate and handedness. It's about what do the hitters how does their arsenal exploit the hitters? And that's a lot more proprietary information. That's a lot more like, this dude doesn't like four seamers up. This dude doesn't like, sweepers down and away. This guy, that's more of like really in the weeds. And that's where their advanced scouting department's going to come into play a more prominent role. They're going to have to really kind of do, not that they don't advance scout these teams. They know everything that these other teams do, but it's going to heighten it's going to magnify that a lot as Joe tries to piece this together, because he made it pretty clear yesterday that, like, he's not assigning defined roles. I think if push comes to shove, if you forced him to say something, he'd say Brian Abreu is his closer right now, but that is certainly not something. I would not be surprised at all if you see Brian Abreu in the 7th or the 8th inning, if the game is on the line in those spots.
Correct. And I mean, that's what you would want anyway, regardless if it's Brian Abreu or not. Like, if you're playing a video game, like that's when you want to bring in your best pitcher, is when you need them the most. You have to get 27 outs no matter what. So get the hardest ones out with your best players.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I'm not going to say they did that with Josh Hader. Like the thing about having Josh Hader was that it allowed Joe to use Brian Abreu in so many different roles. Like he always just had the comfort of, all right, I've got Josh Hader. Like I can deploy Brian Abreu whenever I want. And then if that's in the 7th inning, like, all right, I can figure out a way to get through the 8th. Or if I need Hader to get 4 outs for me, I just need to get 2 outs in the 8th, get Hader in there. He can get 4 outs and we're good to go. That insurance, that safety blanket is gone. So now it's like he's going to have to be really careful and really mindful of when he deploys Brian Abreu, because he inherently, like, he's always going to publicly proclaim that he trusts the 7 other guys in the bullpen. But there is a heightened level of trust in Brian Abreu that maybe these other guys don't share. So he's going to have to be, it's going to be a fascinating balancing act for Joe Espada, who, did you see what he said after the game on Monday? This was before he revealed that Josh Hader had the shoulder strain. Someone asked him, like, what was that like having to, because he was like, that was the other thing too. Like he and Alex Cora are pretty good friends. They're both the only 2 Puerto Rican managers left in baseball. They're close. And he knows that Cora, the way Cora runs the Red Sox, they platoon a lot. He'll do full line changes in response to relief. So Joe said it like this. He goes, that was fun. He goes, it was fun going out and like countering moves and like having to play one step ahead and thinking, all right, what's Cora going to do now? Like, I don't know if Astros fans would agree that it was fun to watch. I think that they were more, nervous, but you're going to see a lot more of it. Like you're going to see Joe really get into his bag managing, and it comes with the territory. But if one of these guys falters, or if a couple of these guys falters, it's going to fall back on the guy that's making the decisions. But you're going to see a lot more strategery from Joe Espada maybe than we've seen in the past. So I think it'll be fascinating to watch, because that's one thing I love to do. I don't know if you do the same thing, Tyler, but like when I'm watching the games, like I like to like think ahead. I like to be like, all right, like Javier's coming out with 80 something pitches in the 5th inning. All right, who's he going to get up right here? Like if he gets somebody up, and then I'm looking at the lineup, I'm like, all right, well, Red Sox have 2 lefties coming up, so maybe he gets Okered up, but does he want Cora to maybe burn, whoever the righty is on his bench, Ref Snyder or Romy Gonzalez? Like, how does he want Cora to burn those guys? Now, to me, that's fun to play along with. I don't know if you agree, but I think it'll be fun to watch these 42 games, trying to watch him do that.
Yeah, baseball's fun. I don't know if you agree with that. I enjoy watching it and thinking about it as I watch it. And we're going to get to do a lot of that because, like you said, there's a lot of moving pieces now.
Yes, a lot of moving pieces. You know what else is moving pretty well is our merch. We've gotten some positive feedback on what we've got going on up at crushcityterritoryshop.com, and look what we've got now. If you're watching on YouTube, you can get look at this QR code. You can scan the QR code. We got duffel bags here. We've got backpacks, hoodies. I got a lightweight hoodie on the way. I think it's getting delivered today. I've got a coffee mug coming as well. I bankrupted myself buying my own merch. It's a great time. That being said, it's pretty cheap. So go to crushcityterritoryshop.com. If you were watching on YouTube, you could just scan the QR code and it would take you right there. Like I said, we're going to get to a point where we do some giveaways, we do some live shows, and we'll have merch for you. But again, we're in the infancy stages right now. So the more you guys buy and the more you guys, wear it and put it out there, the better it goes for us. And the more that we can maybe get some live recordings, some live reads, and get merch to you guys, maybe have some discount codes and make it a little cheaper as we get closer to the holiday season. Tyler, what have you ordered? Have you ordered merch?
I have it all in the cart. I'm
Nice.
I'm buying it. I'm getting ready. Can I tell you a duffel bag story?
Sure.
Okay. You didn't know that I had a duffel bag story waiting to go.
I'm petrified.
One time I was at the Hobby Airport. This must have been like 2000, 13, 14, something like that. And I saw this guy. I was flying to Oklahoma to visit my now wife who lived in Oklahoma at the time. And I saw this dude with a sick Astros duffel bag. It was huge. And I like walked up to him and I was like, dude, where'd you get that duffel bag? And it was Marwin Gonzalez, who had just been optioned to AAA Oklahoma City, and we were on the same flight to Oklahoma. So, yeah, I saw one out in the wild once, and it was enough for me to go like, "What is that thing? That's cool." But it was Marwin. So
was Marwin cool when you like?
Yeah.
went up?
yeah,
That's good.
oh, I mean, every time he shows up at Astros games and is just sitting in the stands, he looks so cool. But yes, I saw his cool duffel bag and went up to talk to him. So that could be you. You could be the story of someone with your Crush City duffel bag out there making friends at the airport.
And then when they ask you where you got them, and then when they ask you where you got it, you can always say shop at crushcityterritoryshop.com, as everyone should. Again, there was the outpouring of support and the outpouring of everything has been great. I can't believe we have merch. I keep saying that.
So weird.
I had 2 people at the game Monday tell me like, I can't believe you guys sell merch. I was like, me either. I can't believe people are buying it.
Yep.
That being said, continue buying it and continue listening as well. Like I did tease that we will have a prospect on the show tomorrow, and not going to say who it is yet, but we will have another show tomorrow with a prospect that I think you'll want to hear from, somebody that's been pretty interesting, a guy that's really ascended the Astros farm system this year, and a guy that could play a critical role maybe tonight in Sugarland. Who knows? Until then, you can follow me on X at Chandler_Rome. You can follow Tyler at Tyler C. Stafford. You can rate and review us on Apple. You can also rate everything on Spotify. You can leave some comments on the Spotify episodes. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get notified every time we post a new video. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow with a special interview with a fast rising Astros prospect. And then we'll be back on Sunday with Josh Reddick to talk about the Orioles series. And who knows, we'll talk about the division, see where this thing's at, if the Astros are still in a dead heat. We'll debate the meaning of squander. We'll debate the meaning of shoulder strains. It could be a fun time. So please tune in then. Until then, we will talk to you later. Good job, Livy. Good job going to kindergarten for the first time.
Yeah, shout out all my fellow teachers. I was a former teacher. Thank you for all that you do. We'll see you soon. Bye.